Hello and welcome to Covering It All, where we cover all the information you need to know about custom window coverings. Covering It All is a production of The Blind Broker in Kansas City, and we are joined, as always, by our expert design consultants, Bree Atkins and John Wallace, here to answer your window covering questions. How are you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great, beautiful fall day.
Swell, as always. We're going to jump into some questions here, and I feel like I hear this one a lot. It is probably the most common question I get, and if it's the most common question I get, I can only imagine you guys hear it a lot, being in people's homes, working with customers, but it's always about what's the trend? What's the most what are people doing? That's what people want to know. When they don't know what they want to do, they just say, what is common right now? What's popular right now? What are your guys' what are you seeing out there in the window covering world as the popular thing?
Really, I'm seeing a lot of shades. People, I think, traditionally refer to blinds in general, and blinds typically are kind of a slatted product. They had the long strings and you'd pull them up, and I think a lot of people don't like to clean those. So the trend I'm seeing is a shift towards shades and even draperies, something soft, more of a fabric trend. I think the blinds are always a very functional thing, but they're hard to clean. They're busy. There's lots of little slats and things for the kids to play with in homes with little kids. So I'm seeing a lot of shades.
Drapery has been making a huge resurgence even in the past, I'd say 3 to 5 years. I've seen such an uptick in drapery. Definitely one thing I think is going to be super trendy and is already pretty popular is motorization, especially with home integration, smart home systems. There's tons of different systems, Apple Home, there's Control 4, all different things. I think with the integration of your shades into your lights, into your TV, and everything being controlled in one hub, I think motorization is by far one of the biggest sellers, and I think it's going to continue to be on the rise.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Wonderful. Okay, I got a photo for you here I want you to look at. And we get these photos from time to time. People saying, what should I do with this here?
Smooth.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely see this a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very, very popular. One thing that is my favorite thing to do with a window like this would be shutters. And a couple different ways that we can do it depending on, the space in between the transom window and the actual window there. There's a couple different things. We could do a fanned louver style where that way they're each independently operated louvers. You just reach up and adjust those. Typically people will adjust those a couple times a year depending on how much sun they want coming in there. The other solution is also a shutter where you can actually bring that leg, the side all the way up and have that all a horizontal look. That's definitely more trendy now to have all horizontal as opposed to the fan styles, but in certain situations we can't do that. But in this situation, I think that's a perfect situation for either one of those. It depends on if they're open to changing the bottom portion too. If they are, then we can make that look gorgeous. If they aren't, we can still make that transom look gorgeous too. So
yeah.
What about you?
I always lean towards draperies. I love fabrics. I love the softness that it creates. I see these a lot in living rooms, but I also see them a lot in bedrooms. Typically in a bedroom, you want it nice and dark for sleeping. So these cause a huge problem in bedrooms because they're just so hard to cover. So I like draperies, but I also like shutters. Maybe in the living room, a shutter, just because you always want a little bit of light coming in, and they can be adjusted, like John said. But in a bedroom, I like draperies. You can cover the whole window, and you run that rod right across the top of the arch, maybe 5 inches above the arch and a little bit extra on the sides, so that when it's open, you've got your entire window open, because this is a design that architects put into a home because it's gorgeous and you want that extra light, but when you don't want it, you really want to cover it. So I kind of lean towards draperies. If there's enough room around the window, draperies are a really great way to do that, and they add some softness and darkness if that's what you want.
Follow-up question, because I feel like a pretty common follow-up would be between the shutter solution that John recommended and the drapery solution that Bree recommended, what would you say gets the room darker if you're trying to sleep in?
Both.
Yeah?
Both. I mean, adding them both together. Shutters.
Oh, you're saying layer them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Shutters shouldn't be sold as a blackout product.
Right.
They don't get it fully dark. They get it as close to blackout as possible, but not quite blackout.
Yeah.
You'll always have some light coming in through where the louvers intersect. Ultimately, you're dealing with 40 louvers. Sometimes you'll have just one that closes tighter, one that doesn't close tighter. So if you're very light sensitive, combining those two together is going to get you pretty much as close to blackout as humanly possible.
Yeah. And draperies, to some extent, they're mostly blackout as well. There's really no true blackout product, unfortunately. Light finds a way. So layering products, like John said, is the best way to get the room as dark as possible. Even when a drapery's closed, you get a little bit of a light glow out the top, unless you're mounting the rod to the ceiling, like a drapery track on the ceiling, and then having it drag the floor. It's just hard to keep all that light out. But if you can combine both products, you've got the best of both worlds. Filterable, light that can be filtered with the shutter, and then blacked out even more with the drapes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, next question. And we get this one from designers a lot. You're always trying to predict and what the trends of the future are. I feel like we had a craze of gray that came through in like the I don't know, late 20-aughts, early 20-teens. And gray seems to be maybe on the way out. What would you, if you had, I know we're just guessing here, but if you had to guess 10 years from now, what color do you think will be in that, people should maybe think about the future if they're trying to coordinate colors for the future? What's an idea you guys have?
Style is cyclical. That's the thing. So in order to look forward, you have to look backwards. So I do see a resurgence of warmer tones. Kind of like you mentioned, everyone was going with grays. Grays are still pretty popular. Yep. Like the most popular color, I believe, in Sherwin-Williams is agreeable gray. Yep. It's now it's a warmer tone of gray. So even with gray tones, we've seen a skew. When I first started doing this over a decade ago now, everything was blue-gray. Yep. Now it's all leaning towards the warmer tones of gray. So I do see warmer tones coming back in with a vengeance. It might sound weird, but even golden oak or honey oak, I could see that making a resurgence.
Coming back.
Again, when I first started, everything was real dark.
Yeah.
Everything was dark walnut. It was the henna. It was different, real dark colors. And now we're seeing a lot of lighter woods. I was just at a really nice, beautiful modern house that had all like pine wood around it. So that real bright wood. I could see it kind of meeting in the middle,
I've seen a blend.
Oh yeah, absolutely, with more of the orange or red tones of wood coming back in. And as crazy as it seems, I could totally see that being a thing, and any color that blends well with that. So the greens, the reds, real more muted tones. I don't think vibrants are going to be. Yeah. They'll be used sparingly, I guess I would say. Yeah. But I definitely see more warmer skews.
I agree with John. Everybody's bringing the warm woods back in. I've seen like blends where they have really dark walnut cabinets, but then a light pine island. So they're kind of working the multi-tones in, and everything's staying fairly neutral. I think it's very easy to work neutral colors, fabrics into a home to make it look soft but not too bold. I am starting to see a kick in the bold colors again, just for a pop. I think the grays and the neutrals are always easy, but then there's some people that want quite a bit of personality. So we're getting more bold blues, the reds, the greens. So I think after a while, the neutral tones will probably calm down, and then you'll get your big bold tones. Like back to the days where we had red shag carpet, I think people will get a little bit more bold with some of their furnishings in their house and having those bright colors. But for right now, everything is staying fairly neutral. And that makes it easy on everybody to really make their home look cozy and soft and not too wild.
And also not too sterile, because that's the thing with a lot of modern houses is you go in there, you're like, everything is just so pristine that it becomes more of a sterile look. And I like that look. Yep. It's
very
not
clean.
my look. I'm more of a modern boho guy where I like having the softer elements with the modern elements mixed in there too. So
very transitional.
All right, thank you, John and Bree. don't hesitate to write in with your questions or comment wherever you're at. Comment on this video down below your questions, and we can have John and Bree address them on Covering It All. And if you are a homeowner or designer and you're in the Kansas City area, reach out to us at The Blind Broker. We'd love to help you or your client find the perfect window covering solutions. We'll talk to you next time.